Hello everyone. Welcome back to Improved Version, a channel dedicated to sharing profound knowledge on holistic personal development through the lens of great books. It is a pleasure to have you here today. Today, Improved Version would like to share with you some life-altering insights on how to change your destiny through a timeless classic titled The Four Teachings of David. These teachings represent the culmination of a lifelong journey of self-improvement undertaken by David, a high-ranking official who lived centuries ago. This work was originally a series of letters he wrote to educate his son, based entirely on his own transformative experiences. The material combines the deep essence of ancient wisdom, Confucianism, Buddhism, and Taoism to form four profound pillars of wisdom passed down to posterity. Over the centuries, this work has not only been widely circulated but has also exerted a significant influence on leaders and thinkers from the Ming Dynasty to the present day. If you feel like you're currently drifting through life, or if you wish to change your current circumstances to experience greater freedom, abundance, happiness, and peace, then I invite you to turn these pages with me. Perhaps here, you will find the seeds of goodness that will build the core path, leading you to the most transformative days of your own life. Now, please settle in and listen to the content we are sharing today. How do we truly change our destiny? It begins with the fierce determination to break free from the invisible shackles of fate. In his youth, David was a man who believed his life was already written in stone. He had met a scholar named Mr. Miller, a man well-versed in divination and skilled in the ancient arts of astrology. Mr. Miller looked at David's life and made a series of startlingly precise predictions. He told David that he had a clear path to becoming a government official. He even predicted the exact year David would pass the imperial examinations and exactly what rank he would achieve. However, the prophecy had a dark side. Mr. Miller claimed that David would never have a son and that his life would be cut short, ending at the age of 53. As the years went by, the results of David's exams and the events of his life began to come true, one by one, just as Mr. Miller had foretold. While this was a huge surprise, it also left David feeling profoundly helpless. He felt as if fate was a noose tightening around his neck. He became convinced that everything was predetermined and that his efforts didn't matter. He thought, if it is written that I will die young and leave no legacy, then why struggle? Consequently, he fell into a deep state of resignation and simply resigned himself to what he thought was his inevitable fate. He stopped striving, stopped dreaming, and began to simply exist. However, everything changed at the age of 36 when David met a renowned Zen master named Master Julian on Mount Zaihe. This encounter became the ultimate turning point for his fortune. After sitting in silence with David for 3 days, Master Julian realized that David's mind was eerily still, not because of high spiritual attainment, but because of a lack of hope. When David explained that he believed his life was entirely bound by Mr. Miller's predictions, Master Julian laughed. He said, "Destiny is created by oneself and blessings are sought by oneself. It is true that honor and disgrace, life and death, often seem predetermined for the average person who is swept away by their own past habits. But the purpose of our lives is not to leave everything to fate. We must use the principle of establishing the new while destroying the old to change our own lives." Master Julian explained that a person's destiny is simply the crystallization of their good and evil deeds from the past. It is a momentum, not an immutable law. He told David, by actively doing good, cultivating inner virtue, and relentlessly improving yourself, you can completely rewrite the script of your life. David felt as if he had been struck by a bolt of lightning. He began to reflect deeply on his behavior and his thinking. He realized he had been a passive passenger in his own life. He resolved right then to do good and accumulate merit, constantly cultivating his character. The results were miraculous. David went on to have a fulfilling career far beyond what was predicted. He was blessed with a son who carried on his legacy, and he lived a long, healthy life, far surpassing the age of 53. David's story shows us that a person's life is not a predetermined one-way road, but a work of art that we ourselves have the power to create. However, the core way to create one's destiny does not lie in simply striving to become outstanding or wealthy in the way modern society encourages. It must begin with a much more fundamental shift, the active performance of good deeds. But here, two difficult questions arise that we must address. First, if people have understood the seemingly timeless truth that they are the masters of their own lives, why are so many still trapped in a vicious cycle of suffering and poverty? Second, if doing good deeds and accumulating virtue can truly change one's destiny, why do some people actively engage in charity yet ultimately fail to achieve any real fulfillment or change in their circumstances? The answer lies in the fact that most of us lack a sufficiently firm belief that we are truly the creators of our own destiny. This belief is often vague and half-hearted. People live in a paradoxical state. On one hand, they yearn for freedom and success, but on the other hand, they use other forms of superstition to imprison themselves in the invisible cage of fate. Think about how many people spend years and months consulting fortune tellers, reading horoscopes, or obsessive over tarot cards just to find a psychological anchor in an uncertain world. Faced with anxiety, helplessness, and disorientation, they look for external answers because they don't know what choices to make. Many turn to these methods as a way to regain a sense of control, a feeling of knowing what will happen next. But even if it's just an illusion, it is a dangerous one. Even when people say they don't really believe in these predictions, the information still seeps into their subconscious minds. It causes them to act in ways that align with the prediction, effectively making the prophecy self-fulfilling. Essentially, this is an avoidance of responsibility for oneself. If someone else shows you the way, you might feel less anxious, or you can blame fate if life doesn't go as expected. But this isn't even the most common form of abandoning control. Deeper and more insidious are the daily habits of thinking and behaving. Complaining about the economy, blaming our parents or our circumstances, and feeling that it is too late to change are always we lock ourselves in. We try to follow the crowd, we bury our unique individuality, and we seek only temporary safety and comfort. All of these things, little by little, are locking the gate that leads to a new destiny. Ultimately, humanity is not just bound by fate. We are bound by our own lack of courage to change. Therefore, the first important point in these teachings emphasizes that to change your destiny, you must first cultivate a deep, unwavering, and unshakable belief. You must know that your destiny is in your own hands, not in the hands of the stars. We are the architects of our own lives. Only when we fully believe this can we begin to live mindfully, take full responsibility for our choices, and truly build a new future through our consciousness and our kindness. Now, let's look at that second question. Does doing good deeds truly change your life? Doing good is indeed the source of all transformation. It is like sowing high-quality seeds in the soil of your life. When good deeds are sown correctly, good fruits will inevitably follow, helping to change the very root of cause and effect. However, We see many people who do good deeds, yet their destiny remains stagnant. Why is this? It is because they focus only on sowing the seeds while forgetting to prepare the soil. If your mind is still filled with greed, hidden anger, and deep-seated selfishness, then your inner soil is barren. No matter how many good deeds you perform outwardly, if your heart lacks sincerity toward others and yourself, the seeds cannot sprout. Many people are trapped in the paradox of fate not because they aren't doing good things, but because their goodness does not originate from a pure and awakened heart. If you want to do good to change your destiny, don't just rush out to join a charity or donate money. Begin first by purifying your heart. When the heart is at peace, goodness arises naturally. When the heart is bright, the path forward opens automatically. Only then will your destiny truly have a chance to be transformed. To do good and change your life, you must first purify the root of your being. The heart is the root of all change. This idea is a core tenet of wisdom across many cultures. All the merit and virtue in this world cannot be separated from the intention behind the act. Master Julian taught that if you can truly act and think with the purest heart, there is nothing you cannot achieve. Blessings and prosperity will naturally bear fruit, leading to both inner and outer fulfillment. Conversely, if one refuses to examine their inner self and simply chases after external validation or material gain, all efforts to change will forever be a hopeless bargaining with fate. The teachings of David point out that the most effective way to clear the weeds from your heart is through the practice of repentance and correction. However, the most difficult part of this process is that most of us are blind to our own mistakes. Some mistakes are easy to see: a hurtful word spoken in anger or dishonest action. But the most dangerous mistakes lie deep in our unconscious minds. They silently control how we feel, how we react to pressure, and how we make life-altering decisions without us even knowing it. For example, arrogance often lives in the subconscious. It makes us believe we are always right, more knowledgeable than others, and inherently superior. This makes it impossible for us to truly listen to others, or to be tolerant of different perspectives, or consider selfishness, which often disguises itself as love. We might try to control our partners or children under the guise of caring for them, when in reality, we are just trying to satisfy our own need for security. There is also the secret joy some feel when they see others struggle, or the cold indifference we show to those in need. These are all deep-seated habits and misconceptions about ourselves and the world that are rooted in the subconscious. Even more concerning is that some of our biggest mistakes stem from procrastination and laziness. We know we should change. We know we should be more disciplined, but we put it off day after day. Furthermore, some of us have strived to be good people, yet our lives remain filled with conflict and poor health. This is often because of the invisible influence of repeated choices made over a lifetime. These unresolved memories and deep-seated fears, such as the fear of scarcity or the fear of loneliness, create intricate layers of karmic forces. They act like the roots of a tree, causing us to unknowingly perpetuate our own suffering. We stay trapped in an inescapable cycle of inadequacy, fear, complaining, and passivity. The teachings state clearly, mistakes take many forms, but they all originate from the mind. Therefore, mistakes created by the mind must be corrected by the mind itself. The core principle for this correction must stem from three specific states of mind: shame, reverence, and courage. First, let's talk about the feeling of shame. This is often misunderstood as something negative, but in this philosophy, it is the initial motivation that helps people recognize their errors. A sense of shame is considered a prerequisite for growth. Throughout history, every wise and great individual has relied on a healthy sense of remorse. They reflected on themselves, corrected their flaws, and strived for a higher standard of goodness. To know shame is a great virtue because it means you're aware that your actions have fallen short of your own potential or the laws of nature. When you realize that your daily habits are silently sowing seeds of negativity in your life, and you feel that sting of shame, you develop a powerful motivation to improve yourself from the depths of your heart. Shame is not about self-torment. It is a noble state of mind where you dare to look within with complete sincerity and no pretense. The second state is to correct mistakes with a heart of reverence. Reverence here refers to a deep respect for the universe, the laws of cause and effect, and the inherent goodness in every living thing. David emphasized that heaven is above, and even the most hidden thoughts cannot be deceived. This means that every action, no matter how small or private, is recorded in the fabric of your destiny. If the mistake is serious, misfortune will eventually find you. If the mistake is minor, your daily blessings will simply begin to diminish. This kind of reverence is not meant to instill fear or superstition. Instead, it is a call to live with respect and integrity in accordance with moral principles. Without reverence, a person easily becomes self-indulgent. They commit wrongdoings without restraint and eventually fall into an abyss from which there is no easy escape. In our modern, fast-paced society, we need to cultivate this respectful mindset more than ever. We must respect the law, professional ethics, and social norms. We must respect nature and protect the environment. Only when our hearts are filled with such reverence can we maintain our composure amidst a world full of temptations. Finally, true change requires a proactive mindset, the mindset of courage. This means taking decisive action to correct mistakes without any hesitation or delay. We all know that fixing ourselves is not easy. It requires us to overcome decades of habits and a massive amount of inner inertia. It requires us to confront our own ugliness honestly. This takes unwavering belief and a persistent will. For many, including myself, writing down daily mood swings and reflecting on behavior is the most effective method for this. You can try this as well. If you detect a negative thought or a selfish impulse, acknowledge it and correct it immediately. When shame, reverence, and courage blend together, they create a powerful force that cleanses the mind, purifies distracting thoughts, and gradually brings you back to your most serene and powerful state. Everything in this life is governed by the law of cause and effect. Doing good deeds is the only way to fundamentally change the direction of your life. Master Julian told David, "Heaven and earth treat everyone fairly. If you follow the natural law of cause and effect, you will not deviate from your goals. If you have recognized your past mistakes, you must wholeheartedly transform your destiny. Accumulate merit, be tolerant, be compassionate, and cultivate your spirit." These teachings ignited a powerful fire of benevolence in David's heart. He didn't just do one or two good deeds. He committed to a lifetime of them. He performed thousands upon thousands of acts of kindness, and the change wasn't limited to his career. It spread to his entire family. His wife joined him in this practice, and their home became a place of profound happiness and fulfillment. Now, some people might question this. They might ask, doesn't counting 10,000 good deeds just turn morality into a race for points? Is this just a form of buying and selling merit? It is true that in today's world, we see people doing good with the hope of getting something in return: fame, a better reputation, or even just to feel good about themselves. Are these actions bad? Not necessarily. Even if the motive isn't perfectly pure, the seeds of goodness are still being sown, and those who receive help still benefit. However, if it stops there, the results for the person doing the good deeds will be limited. Doing good with a mind driven by greed or a desire for recognition is still a form of attachment. Attachment is born of fear and insecurity. It binds the mind and prevents us from achieving true inner peace. Humans are born with the right to seek happiness, but if we are too attached to the results of our kindness, we lose the pure heart we started with. The goal is not to extinguish our desires entirely, but to recognize and transform them. We can start with a wish to improve our lives, but then we must learn to let go of our expectations about the outcome. We must focus solely on the act of doing good and the process of cultivating our minds. In this way, our desires become like water nourishing a field. One day, the fruit will ripen naturally without us having to force it. In David's case, his 10,000 deeds were not a destination. They were a form of high-level self-discipline. It wasn't a game of counting merits. It was a journey of total transformation. He changed from a man who believed in a fixed, cold fate into a man who lived proactively and sincerely. Good deeds don't need ostentation. They don't need a social media post or an audience to be valid. You just need to be sincere with yourself, and time will prove the value of your actions. The ancient teachings point out 10 fundamental methods of doing good and accumulating merit that we can all use. First, treat others well by maintaining a kind heart and viewing all beings with compassion. Second, cultivate deep love and respect for everyone you meet, maintaining a sincere and careful attitude in your dealings. Third, help others succeed in their goals. Fourth, support others in their own efforts to do good. Fifth, proactively act for the benefit of others without waiting to be asked. Sixth, encourage others to do good, especially those who have the power to make a large impact. Seventh, help those in need, regardless of who they are or what they have done. Eighth, build works that benefit society as a whole, whether alone or with others. Ninth, give away your excess wealth to create welfare for the community and help the poor. And 10th, protect and uphold the truth. This means sharing the correct principles of life and helping others attain enlightenment or a higher state of awareness. In our modern 2026 context, I believe we can expand these 10 methods. We can do good by protecting our fragile environment, by supporting gender equality, and by fighting against discrimination in all its forms. We can protect the rights of the marginalized and participate in volunteer activities, like providing free education or donating resources to remote areas. More importantly, we must realize that doing good is not just about big actions. It is cultivated through our daily words. In our modern life, especially in our closest relationships, we often utter thoughtless, hurtful words. We allow anger and reproach to color our conversations with the people we love most. Online, hidden behind the safety of nicknames and profile pictures, we have become more judgmental and critical than ever before. A single word, a single thought, or a single action, if it does not originate from a heart of compassion and tolerance, is a seed sown in the soil of negative karma. This is how we trap ourselves in the cycle of suffering. The Tao Te Ching says that the way of heaven is impartial, yet it often bestows its favors upon the virtuous. If you take good intentions as your foundation and proactively sow these seeds of kindness, your life will surely be favored. This is simply the natural law of the universe. The cause determines the effect, and the state of your mind determines the realm in which you live. Many of the world's most successful figures have been deeply influenced by these teachings. One such person is a famous international businessman who shared that doing good is not a transaction for blessings. Instead, it is a way to keep our souls always pointed toward the light. Blessings are just the natural result, the fruit that blooms when you silently sow seeds of goodness without demanding a reward. I truly hope that the content we shared today will ignite a small but powerful thought of kindness within you. Though it may start small, it can smolder and grow like a flame, guiding you on a journey to change the very course of your destiny. It can bring you closer to the light of peace, prosperity, and total fulfillment. Thank you so much for spending your time with us today and for listening to this deep exploration of the soul. If you found this video and the teachings of David helpful, please consider sharing it with someone in your life who might be looking for a way to change their circumstances. Knowledge is a gift that grows only when it is shared. If you want to continue this journey of growth and discover the life-changing wisdom hidden in the world's most influential books, please take a moment to hit the like button. It really helps the channel reach more seekers of truth. Most importantly, don't forget to click the subscribe button and turn on all notifications by hitting the bell icon. We are here every week to bring you new, in-depth summaries and guides for personal development. And we want you to be a vital part of our growing community. Tell us in the comments below which of the 10 methods of doing good resonated with you the most today. We love reading your reflections and hearing about your own journeys of transformation. Thank you once again for your incredible support. Keep cultivating your heart, keep doing good, and remember your destiny is in your hands. We will see you in the next video. Goodbye for now.